What's up, boys and girls? My name is Aaron and this is Wrestling by Waldridge. If you're new here, welcome to the channel, and as always, if you enjoy this video, please give it a like, give it a share, hit the notification bell and subscribe. And welcome to another episode of New Japan Files, where in today's video I'm going to be looking at the whole of the New Japan Wrestling Dontaku 2021 tour, as well as some of the bigger matches from Satsuma No Kuni as well. So pick out the matches I've rated which might interest you, 100% trust my judgment and go and check them out. So first up we go to night 7 of the Road to shows, where we saw a special singles match between Yujiro Takahashi and Tomohiro Ishii. The match told the story of Ishii having to overcome the heel shenanigans of Takahashi, whilst Takahashi attacked the shoulder and neck area of Ishii throughout the entire match. And I thought Ishii's selling was a particular highlight in this match. He sold the neck and the shoulders really well. The match was well paced and built up the drama nicely, and there were some effective near falls from both performers, which led into Ishii picking up the W with a brainbuster. I'm not the biggest Yujiro Takahashi fan, but it must be said that him and Ishii did give us a solid match here. And then next up on night 7 we saw Taiji Ishimori versus Hiroki Goto, and there was another good story here of Ishimori attacking the left arm of Goto in order to set up for a crossface attempt later in the match. The selling from Goto was solid, but perhaps he could have avoided using the left arm in his offense just a little more. I think both men showed great chemistry together. Hiroki Goto is underrated. He has a great moveset, and I am a big fan of Taiji Ishimori. I love his intensity, his agility, and he always has great facial expressions as well. And I really liked the finish of this match, which came after a lengthy spell of Goto being on top. Goto goes for the GTR on Ishimori, but he counters it into a backslide and steals the victory. And then in the main event of night 7 we saw Kenta versus Yoshihashi. The story of the match centered around the resilience and the toughness of Yoshihashi, as Kenta dominated this match for quite a long time. I liked Kenta's heel work, and it was clear to see he was executing a strategy to anger Yoshihashi and throw him off his game. He used Yoshi's bow staff, and he also used the exposed turnbuckle to his advantage, which added another page to the story that Kenta couldn't put down his resilient opponent. But ultimately Kenta managed to pick up the win with a Psycho knee followed by the go to sleep. I thought the match could have trimmed off some of the fat as it was a little too long, but it was still a solid match for sure. We then head over to night 8 where we saw Chaos versus Bullet Club for the Never Openweight 6-man tag team titles, with the teams including all 6 men from their singles matches from night 7. There wasn't too much of a story in this match besides each pairing from their singles matches resuming their feuds, but there were some nice moments with Yoshihashi getting his bow staff back from Kenta. He then proceeded to take out all of the Bullet Club members, and I loved the callback to the night before where Ishimori goes for another backslide on Goto, but Goto manages to kick out this time just before the 3. And I also liked the solid tag team work from Bullet Club in the middle portion of this match. They did a great job of isolating Goto from making a tag, but in the end Chaos managed to retain when Goto got his own back on Ishimori by nailing him with a GTR for the win. It was a fun match, but I'm not overly keen on New Japan's 6-man tags. The rulebook just tends to go out of the window and they are a little chaotic at times. And then we move all the way to night 12 where we saw another special singles match between Sanada and United Empire's Aaron Henare. The match told an interesting story of Henare trying to prove that he's on the level of Sanada, and I really liked Henare's facial work towards the end of this match. Each time Sanada kicked out of one of his big moves, you could just see the doubt creep in on his face. I enjoyed the methodical pace in the middle of this match, with Henare attacking the left leg of Sanada, and whilst I thought Sanada did a good job of selling that left leg, he could have done a better job with selling that on offense as well, and the finish saw Sanada pick up the win with 2 consecutive moonsaults in a good match. And then this was then followed by the main event of Great-O-Khan versus Tetsuya Naito. The match told a couple of good stories, the first being Naito attacking the neck of Great-O-Khan to set up for the Destino, which is a staple in Naito's game plans, and I loved how he also attacked the long braid of Great-O-Khan, using it as leverage in some really creative submission spots. The match also did a great job of presenting Great-O-Khan as a tough opponent for anyone on Naito's level. He even kicked out some of Naito's bigger moves, such as a Destino, and I thought the stare downs and the fake outs in the beginning of this match before both men locked up were excellent. It's a great tactic for building up the anticipation towards a match, which is something you rarely see nowadays. There were some really effective near falls here too, with the best coming when Naito countered an eliminator into a Destino. That was awesome. And the finish saw Naito hit Okan with one last Destino for the victory. Another great match between these two. We then saw the first night of Satsuma No Kuni, with the first special singles match being between Toru Yano and Evil in a Creation of Darkness blindfold match. It's a first, that's for sure, which isn't that surprising considering it's a Toru Yano matchup. The match told a story of Toru Yano overcoming the odds because of the constant interference from Dick Togo. Shock horror. I wasn't exactly sure what the rules were in this match, but I thought both men did a good job with the stipulation. There was lots of hood shenanigans, and the finish saw Yano outsmart his opponents by putting a hood over Evil's head so that he inadvertently attacked Togo. He then rolls up Evil for the victory. And then in the main event we saw Roppongi 3K versus El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru from Suzuki-gun for the IWGP Junior Tag Team titles. The match told a good story of Suzuki-gun working over the left leg of Yo, which made a lot of sense because he's only just come back from that leg injury. And the match also served the purpose of building up to Yo and El Desperado's eventual match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, with a lot of interaction between the two here. I thought Yo did a good job of selling the left leg after taking moves, but again, he needs to improve on selling the leg whilst on offense as well. For me, the match could have been better paced if they had taken off 5 or 10 minutes, but this was still a solid match. And from the main event of Satsuma no Kuni Night 2, we saw the return of Kota Ibushi, who teamed with Hiroshi Tanahashi, Go Ace, versus the team of Aaron Henare and Jeff Cobb. There were a couple of good stories here, with the first being Kota Ibushi finally getting his hands on Jeff Cobb after Cobb had attacked him at Sakura Genesis. And the second story revolved around the blow-off from Aaron Henare leaving Tanahashi's faction for the United Empire. I liked the attitude and aggression of Henare and Cobb, and I thought Henare did a great job of attacking Tana's left legs. It made a lot of sense, smart psychology, because it's common knowledge that Tanahashi has had problems with his legs. But in the end, Kota Ibushi and Tanahashi managed to pick up the victory with an aces high into a Kamagoi for the victory in what I thought was a very fresh match. It's something that we haven't seen before, so good stuff. And now we've got the first special singles match from night 1 of the main show Wrestling Dontaku between Zack Sabre Jr. and Tanga Loa. I liked the dynamic here of Tanga's strength versus Zack Sabre Jr.'s technical prowess, and the match featured Zack working over the left arm of Tanga, which is great psychology as it nullifies his strength. I also wanted to touch upon how good I think Zack's psychology is. I believe he's one of the best at registering every single move that he is hit with, and if you watch him closely, his facial expressions are excellent as well. And this match was no different. He made every bit of Tanga's offense look brilliant. There were a lot of exciting near falls in this match as well. It's always easy to buy into pinning combination near falls, as we always see so many in Zack Sabre Jr. matches where he wins with them. And we got the same in the finish of this match as ZSJ uses a crucifix pinning combination for the victory. The night then followed up with a disappointing ladder match between Tama Tonga and Taichi. There really wasn't much of a story in this match besides both men upping the ante on one another. There was some good use of the ladders, which was exemplified best by the highlight of the match where Tanga Loa power bombs Doki through a ladder. It looks so painful, but the structure and flow of the match felt very disjointed from all of the interferences, and there wasn't really a lot of drama in the match either, perhaps besides when both men were on top of the ladder trading shots. And then we saw the finish where Tama goes for a cutter onto Taichi off the ladder, but Taichi holds onto the ladder, which sends Tama Tonga through a table which was set up in the ring earlier on. Taichi grabs the iron fingers and wins the match. And then in the main event of night 1, we saw Jay White versus Hiroshi Tanahashi for the Never Openweight title. The match told an excellent story of Jay and Tana both going for each other's legs, which has been one of the main focal points of the feud so far. Again, Tana's selling of the left leg was a little spotty, as he was able to run the ropes just fine most of the time, but I thought that Jay's selling of his left leg was magnificent, especially after an excellent piece of psychology from Tanahashi, where he hits the high fly flow onto Jay's legs instead of his torso. The structure of the match was excellent. I loved the pacing. It started off very methodical, but gradually picked up as we saw more near falls and bigger moves being executed. There was a lot of drama and excitement built up by Jay and Tana towards the end of the match, and the crowd were loving it. And Jay eventually won the match with a Blade Runner, but Tanahashi was kept looking strong, as when he had a Texas Cloverleaf in on Jay, Jay actually tapped out, but Gedo had distracted the referee, so Jay did not lose. An enjoyable main event for sure, with Jay as the new Never Openweight champion. And then finally, on night 2 of Wrestling Dontaku, we saw Will Ospreay versus Shingo Takagi in a rematch from their New Japan Cup finals for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Wow, wow, wow. This match went 45 minutes, but it felt half that for me. The match told an extremely compelling story of which man had the bigger fighting spirit in a thrilling game of one-upsmanship. The general selling by both men was terrific in the main, but I did have a small gripe with some of the no-selling towards the end of the match. I think the 2 Poison Ranas, which were no-sold, was a little bit too much for me, but the work rate here was absolutely outstanding. The chemistry between these two is off the charts. Nothing ever feels repetitive, and the intensity is really impressive. And there was a ton of exciting spots in this match. We saw Will Ospreay shooting Star Press onto Shingo, who was on the ropes. We saw Super Oz Cutters. We saw Spanish Flies. And holy we saw the mother of all made in Japans from Shingo onto Will through 2 tables on the outside of the ring. What an amazing spot. And on top of that, there were lots of super effective near falls as well. I loved the foreshadowing of Will using the Rainmaker on Shingo, and this led into the finish where Will used the hidden blade to the face of Shingo, which he hasn't done before, then follows up with a Stormbreaker to retain the title. Easily one of the best matches of the year so far. You should definitely check this out because you'll do yourself a disservice if you don't. And that was Wrestling Dontaku and Satsuma No Kuni. So let me know what you thought of the matches below, or if you haven't seen them, make sure you go and check out the ones which perhaps you haven't seen, which might interest you. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like, give it a share and subscribe. I hope you all have a great day, guys, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.